Ah, all right. I'm having some of this nice apple caramel crumble. It's really good. It's like excellent. It is. See how I pronounce the C there? Excellent. Yes. Anyway, Rocky's outside again. It looks like the sun has come out at least, but it's still pretty cold out there. It'll probably warm up a bit as the day progresses. I hope it does anyway. I've got some work to do around here. Um, and yeah. Um, oh boy. It's funny. I watch different things. I kind of watch and see what's going on. Where a lot of the ideas that are put out there by the elites through places like the World Economic Forum, I watch and I see the end results. And all I can tell you is those people use a lot of pretty words. They wrap up um, these things in very nice looking packages. But the reality is not nice. The reality is pretty ugly. Um, and you see that firsthand. When you got boots on the ground, you see it. And when your boots are on the ground, you see it in real time. And I'm seeing a lot of things come to fruition on the basis of things like sustainability. Yeah, sustainability is a word they use a lot. On the basis of what they call um, oh, well, the idea that a person having their own, having the ability to do what they want and so on like that. It's a funny thing. They want you to do what you want if you want to change your gender, or if you want to engage in some perversion, or if you want to finish yourself. They'll even help you do these things. They have the medical profession will help you to change your gender or to put an end to your existence in this world, if that's what you wish to do. And they'll do this in the name of autonomy. That's the word I was looking for, autonomy. But yet they try to limit our autonomy in so many other ways. It's only in the ways that are self-destructive. If you want to engage in self-destructive behavior, if you want to become an addict and use dope, they'll assist you to do that. If you want to, like I say, get involved in all kinds of weird gender bending stuff and so on, they'll assist you. If you want to take your own life, they'll help you to do that too. They're very eager to help you to do these things. Try starting a small business and watch that same system put up so many walls. Watch that same system screw you over every way imaginable. Do everything it can to prevent you from doing that. Oh, there. We got an automatic door there. It closed on its own. Poltergeist, I guess. Or wind. Could be wind, too. Maybe, eh? Anyway, the thing is, though, try doing that. Try buying a little piece of land and building some sort of a shelter on it and living there. And maybe growing some crops or whatever, which is what people did. 150 years ago, that's what people did, eh? They homesteaded. Try doing that now and see what happens. See how quickly they come in and force you to tear down your shelter and tell you you can't do that here. There are so many things that they'll say you have the right to autonomy. You don't like having a penis? Come to the hospital. We'll turn it into a vagina for you. you know Basically, we'll give you hormones too, so that you can be more feminine, so that you'll grow breasts and stuff like that. We'll do that for you. You don't like being alive? We can fix that too. Come on in, we'll help you out. We don't mind. You're in need of life-saving treatment though, because you have something wrong with you that could kill you. We'll put you on a waiting list, and maybe in 5 years we can do something for you if you're still around. 90 days though, if you want to end it. We can do that in 90 days. There's something seriously wrong. There's something badly wrong. All this open borders policy, people running into different countries like the United States because they'd thrown their borders open. Now, that's not the case now. They've closed the door now, but under Biden and Harris, they had the doors wide open in the United States, and all sorts of people coming in, and unvetted, and just coming in. And the thing is, these people were exploited in so many ways. They were exploited by criminal gangs to get there, because you can't just go through the Darien Gap. You can't do that. You need to have the criminal gangs on your side to do it, because they control that area. If you go in there and you haven't paid them to be there, then you are trespassing. And they won't put up with that for very long. And so, basically, these people are exploited the whole way. And then when they get to the United States, they're still exploited. We have it in Canada too, to a lesser degree, because our government has done a similar thing. And the problem is, we don't know who we're getting, for one thing. Not everybody coming is bad, but some of them are. And we also don't know who's who. And also, the other part of it is, even the good ones who are coming are being victimized in so many ways and being exploited in so many ways. These governments that just throw borders open and stuff like that, they don't care about the people coming into those countries. They don't care. They don't care about their own people, and they don't care about the new people coming in. They're doing it for reasons of exploitation. They're doing it to further a political agenda, to further a global agenda, and so on. But they don't care about those people, and they don't care about the people who are already in their country, the native-born people. They don't care. It's all about how can they exploit the situation. So what happens is, you get these people who tried to escape. They're trying to escape exploitation and so on in their own country. And the road out of there into a new country is full of exploitation. And then they get to the new country and they're exploited. How is any of that humane? Look, if I know of I don't have a house anymore, but back when I did, let's say I knew of some attractive young woman who was being trafficked. And I knew some son of a bitch was selling her to men, and I knew this was happening. And I know, so I say, I want to help you. Come and live with me and I'll protect you. I won't allow that guy to traffic you anymore. So she comes and lives with me. And what do? I traffic her. Now I'm trafficking her out of my house. I'm doing it now out of my house instead of that other guy doing it out of his house. How is she any better off? She's just traded one dirty son of a bitch for another dirty son of a bitch. That's all. And she's still being trafficked and exploited. That's what's happening with these people coming in. And, of course, like I say, too, these countries are also emptying their prisons and their mental institutions. So we're not getting the cream of the crop here a lot of the time. Sometimes we are. Some of the people are genuinely good people, genuinely productive people who really do just want a better life. But like I say, those people are victims the whole way. They're victims from the start of the journey to the destination. Nobody's caring about them, at least nobody who can do anything for them. And it is sad. It's very sad. And it's an example of people being used, desperate people who only want a better life being used by predatory people. And of course, what do you think happens on that road going through the Darien Gap and everything when you get the good people and they're in the company of all kinds of predatory criminal type people who came out of the prisons in the countries they came from? What do you think happens to the good people? They're seen as weak and they're preyed upon. I mean, it's a hell of a thing. And, I see all this stuff happening. And I also see how in my own country, Canada, how we have all these people coming from Pakistan and places like that, totally different culture, and they don't integrate. They don't integrate at all. They just don't. And that's why we got them shitting on the public beaches. We got them firing off automatic weapons and things. There's a bunch of videos now of some bridge in northern Ontario where they all go, and these are all these people coming from those countries, and they have automatic rifles, and they're firing, off the bridge. They're, these automatic rifles. The bridge is covered in brass, from these automatic rifles. And, they get there and and it's just crazy. Well, I mean, it's illegal for us to do that. As a Canadian citizen, I can't do that. I get into all kinds of trouble. In fact, the RCMP would probably come and put a bullet in my head if I did that. Really, they wouldn't even try to, they'd just shoot me dead if I was standing on a bridge firing like that, a rifle. But, these people, they won't even investigate. They don't want to know, But here's the thing. That's also what we're getting. And so, and as far as the pooping on the beach goes and stuff, you got to bear in mind that in these countries where these people come from, they don't go to the beach as a recreational activity. The beach is a place where they dispose of their garbage. It's a place where they work a lot of the time. They work breaking up ships, or they work fishing, or they work, in many cases, even just harvesting sand, because sand is used in construction. So they go down there and take the sand off the beach and whatnot. And so to them, the beach is a place of work, and they're not provided with porta potties at their work. You need, you feel the call of nature. You dig yourself a little hole, and you into the hole, and then you cover that up. And so that's where these people are coming from. They're not, in those countries, you don't see that in India or Pakistan or whatever. People laying out on the beach in bikinis and bathing suits and things, sun tanning and playing frisbee and, going for a dip in the ocean and all that. You don't see that in those countries. The people on the beaches there are busting up scrap ships. Basically, they purposely run a ship aground, a ship that's come to the end of its life, and then the people take it apart. It's called shipbreaking. That's where the shipbreaking yards are, is in those kinds of places. Very hard, very dangerous work. A lot of people get killed in those countries doing that kind of work. But that's one of the things. Also, like I say, harvesting sand for construction, fishing. Like I say, they throw their garbage in the ocean. You know, I mean, that's just a fact. That's how it is. So they don't see the beach as a recreational thing. So they come over here, and what do? They drop a deuce on the beach, and everybody's horrified. Oh my God! You know, the kids dig in that sand. What are they doing? Yeah, well, where they come from, it's a different reality, eh? And like I say, they don't integrate. For the most part, they don't integrate. And so they bring that with them. And of course, we can't have that here because our beaches are not, we don't do that here. And our kids do dig in the sand. And we don't really want our kids digging up somebody's old turd that they've left there. But the thing of it is, there was a woman in Wasaga Beach, Ontario, who actually got video of these people crapping on the beach, and she posted it online, and she was investigated for a possible hate crime. She was actually investigated by the Ontario Provincial Police for possibly propagating hatred. That's how crazy things are here. But anyway, the thing is, though, these globalists, they wrap up all their evil in very pretty packages. And, packages made of words, very nice sounding words. Sustainability sounds good. Who in their right mind could be against sustainability? Really, I mean, you'd have to be crazy to be against sustainability until you look at what their idea of sustainability is. It's all very anti-human. The whole thing is an anti-human agenda. Globalism is an anti-human agenda. And when you consider the fact that it's evil, it would be anti-human because, look, the devil is anti-human. The devil's mad at us because we're made in God's image. We're God's prized creation. The devil's kind of mad at us because of that. And so he hates us. Stands to reason people who are under his influence will also hate us. It's kind of funny because they're people too, yet they're anti-human. Of course, they have the idea that they should be allowed to still be around. It's all us poor folk who need to go, you see. All us useless eaters, we need to go. Me here, what right do I have to eat my nice apple caramel crumble? Why should I be able to be here and do that and enjoy that? Who am I? I'm not a member of the club. Who am I to be doing that? And that's pretty much the attitude. Eat bugs and die. That seems to be the thing. But they frame it up in very nice language. Sustainability and autonomy and all the rest of it. In the meantime, the things that they do are not sustainable. There is no autonomy behind it. Look, we'll assist you to do what we want you to do. And we will forbid you to do what we don't want you to do. Where's the autonomy in that? Where's the autonomy in that? You build a cabin on your land, we'll come tear it down. But if you want to do yourself in, we'll help you do that. If you get sick, though, and you want to live and you want us to help you live, we'll put you on a waiting list and maybe we'll get to you before you die. That's maybe we won't. That's what we're dealing with here. That's the mentality. Wrap it up in pretty words if you want to. The other thing that they do in Canada, which is really a good trick, I got to admit, as much as I dislike these people, I have to give them credit because they're master con artists. And I dislike a con artist in a big way. To me, a con artist is just a dishonest thief. A con artist is somebody who will steal from you and convince you to thank them for doing it. That's a con artist. At least a thief is straightforward. When a thief robs you, you've been robbed and you know it, you know. Not with a con artist, though. The thing is, anyway, they like I say, they frame it all up that it's so pretty and everything, but there's nothing pretty about it. The results are very ugly. And people can't function under that kind of a system, and that's the reason that that kind of a system is being put in place, because it's an anti-human system. In fact, what it is, really, it's the beast system. That's what we're seeing. We're seeing the beginnings of the beast system being implemented in earnest. World government, very anti-human stuff, you know. We're going to work to the detriment of humanity. We're going to pretend we're working to the benefit of humanity, but we're not. We're working to the detriment of it. That's what we're dealing with here. Yeah, no good is going to come of any of it. It's just, you know. But I mean, we're told not to worry because all these things must come to pass. Say, the Bible tells us that. And before Jesus comes back, all this other stuff must happen. And that's what's going on. You know, we're seeing it in real time right now. So, anyway, on another topic, though, here is Rocky. There he is. He's having a sleep against my leg. My legs are right there. There's my foot going back and forth. Rocky's having a sleep there. He just had some chicken, so he's in a chicken coma right now. He went outside again, and then he came back in and had some chicken, and now he's asleep. Yeah. Isn't he cute? He's beautiful. Anyway, that's it for now. Like I say, I just watched a video about on the topic, and the guy who did the video was very well spoken, and he's been there. He's seen the things firsthand that are going on. He's visited the Darien Gap and all that stuff, and he talks about the reality of what's happening. And I've heard these stories before, other places too, and there's nothing humane about it. It's bad. There's nothing humane about any of it. There are these people that are being shuffled from one area to another. You know, there's no humanity there. It's just ugly. It's very ugly, and it's exploitive, and it's basically a lot of criminals involved in it. And the solution really isn't to put people in a position where they have to flee their own country to come to some other country where they're not really wanted and where they're going to be exploited more. The solution is to fix things in the countries where the people are. And like massive uncontrolled immigration is happening really to overwhelm the systems in the countries where these people go. So it's to overwhelm the American system, to overwhelm the immigration system, to overwhelm the prison system, to overwhelm the medical system, to overwhelm the social services systems, and so on. To cause shortages of housing and different things, to drive costs up. And that's all being done as a part of an anti-human agenda. The same is happening in Canada. All this unfettered immigration, it's overwhelming our systems. We're not equipped to receive all these people. If you go into an elevator, you go into any building where there's an elevator, and there's a placard inside of every elevator, and that placard gives the details of the elevator. It'll tell you the company that made it and different things about it. One of the things that it has on it, though, that placard, is it has a weight capacity. It tells you that this elevator is capable of carrying so many pounds of weight. And it's generally hundreds of pounds of weight that the elevator can carry. And sometimes there's also a restriction to say no more than X number of persons may ride this elevator at any given time. So it might say the capacity for the elevator is 10 persons. So, don't put any more than 10 people on this elevator at any given time. The reason for that is because you don't want to overwhelm the mechanism. Because if you do, you could break the mechanism. If the elevator's capable of carrying 1,000 pounds and you put 1,500 pounds on it, you might break something. You see, that's the thing. The same is true with a truck. You take a commercial truck. Commercial trucks are weight rated. And a commercial truck is allowed to carry a certain amount of weight. That's why when they go across the scales, at the weigh scales, if they're overweight, they get penalized. Because there's a possibility you'll break something. Also, it's hard on the roads. Excess weight is hard on the roads. So you're tearing up the roads and you're tearing up your truck if you overload it. And you're potentially creating a safety hazard, because then your truck handles differently. It takes longer to stop your truck. There's all sorts of things. And there's also a potential to have a mechanical breakdown, which could result in an accident if it happens on the highway. So there's all that stuff to take into account. And so there's a weight restriction. And you see, we do this for a lot of things. We have a restriction, only so many people allowed. If you rent a reception hall for a let's say for a wedding or something like that, you rent a hall for a wedding reception. That hall has a capacity, and they'll tell you you can only have so many people in the hall. So if you've got a wedding reception and you're going to have, say, 2,000 people at your wedding reception, you can't rent a hall that has a 500-person capacity, And see, this is the thing. So it's like that for everything. So when you start bringing people in unfettered, unvetted, and uncontrolled, and you don't have the facilities in place to deal with those people, then what happens is you start breaking the system down. And again, this is the idea: overwhelm the system, break it down, and then you'll build back better. Tear it down and we'll build it back better. Of course, what they mean by better is the way they want it to be. So we're going to overwhelm the system, we're going to tear it down, and then we're going to build it back the way we want it. We call it build back better. Be better for us, not for the average person. You see, that's the plan. Lots of bad stuff happening anyway. Lots of very evil people in positions of power doing evil things. And regular people are suffering in so many ways because of it. Anyway, that's it. Like the Bible says, though, it's all got to come to pass. And it's coming to pass, See, people doubt the Bible. People doubt the Bible, and they shouldn't. Because everything the Bible says, you can see it. You know, you don't have to look very far to see that things the Bible talks about really do happen. Yeah, it's we're seeing it anyway. We're seeing it happen. That's it. All right, we'll talk later. Let's see Rocky again. Hey, there he is. He's wonderful, you know. He's all curled up asleep there. Pretty cute. Okay. Bye-bye.